Hi, I'm Diana, founder and CEO of Clean, CLYN. We are the quality assurance AI layer and infrastructure for hospitality operations. And we're starting with cleaning operations. Your cleaners take photos. Our AI platform parses those photos through and against their checklist and checks for cleaning standards, damages, and missing items, and provides that report even before they leave the site. So if you are a property manager, a hotel manager, even a restaurant or gym manager, you might need this, and we might be your people. So check out clean.com in the description. Now that you know about who we are, let's dive into it. Today, I'd love to talk about how this company has evolved. It looks absolutely nothing like what I started with. And this is how it actually started. So, if you don't know, I'm originally from Kenya and I came to the US when I was 18. And when I was in my very last year of college, my new math advisor said that I don't seem to look like an engineer, and all my scholarships went away. And I started cleaning houses because I couldn't even afford to fly back home. So, in that really dark time, as a dropout away from home, I decided I'm gonna go to the public library and just like play around. I have my laptop that my brother bought me. I'm just gonna go, it's cool in there. There's Wi-Fi. Let me play around with stuff. So I was playing with CAD. I was coding, and I was like, why don't I just code something that's gonna help with my business? And I ended up building this application that's like a marketplace where you just go in, you find cleaning services, you tap the one that you like, and then you can call them and schedule a time and they can show up at your house. That was the very first version. We got like 3,000 users in like 2 months. So I was like, oh shoot, this might be bigger than I thought. So I ended up hiring one developer from Kenya. And at that time, there was like an interim CTO who was really just my friend helping out. And he was like a super fan of Xamarin. If you don't know what Xamarin is, it's just a coding language that is, it's not that good, but he loved it. And the thing about like developer advice or technical people's advice is that they're going to give you advice based on what they're comfortable with, not what's the best for the company or the product. But that can be a story of another day. So we built with Xamarin. It was constantly breaking. It needed a lot of work. We were spending like hours way in the night just debugging problems on problems on problems. And I had like people say like, your cute little app, good for you. It's never gonna work. It was really discouraging. People had a lot of audacity to tell me that it's not gonna work. They told people that it's not gonna work. It was really crazy. But it helped some of the cleaning businesses that jumped on. And that was really exciting to go on Firebase and see, dings on there, people signing up, people pressing on pages. That's all that I had at that time. I didn't know anything else. We didn't put any like payment integrations or anything like that, but it was really exciting. Now, I ended up applying for a pretty prominent accelerator. And before this, people were only cleaning businesses were excited, and people who need cleaning were excited. But beyond that, I was getting a lot of discouragement. And people would just dismiss me pretty much. Then I got into AWS. It just blew up. By that time, we were like in version 2, and that's when people started taking us seriously, and we were perfecting it, not perfecting it, but we were like getting better with the product. I say perfect because at that time it felt like perfection. Now that I look at it, I'm just like, ooh, it needed a lot of work. Anyway, the next phase, so version one was you just go in there, you can tap and see the cleaners that are there and their hourly rate, and then you tap in, there's a phone number there, and you can copy and call. The second version was now we're adding Stripe integration. Now we're adding a profile picture for the cleaner so you can see who's on the other side. Now you have like a calendar in there so you can like tap and schedule when you want that person to be there, and they see your instructions, and you're like, code gate is number 123, and key is under the mat. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had those little cute features that we added. So that was version number 2. It was still very buggy and very ugly, but it worked. And that's something that I was very excited about. Version 3. Version 3 was built during Techstars. Man, we were on a mission. I flew my team from Kenya to the US so that they can understand what they're building. The problem that I was facing is when I explained something, the team was like, okay, I guess I get it, right? Because they're like, I don't know how I would use this thing, and I don't know what she's saying, and that American accent, I'm not understanding any of it. So I made the decision to invest in them, get them visas, get them here in Austin so they can go through the accelerator with me. And it really opened up their eyes of like, oh, so this is what, 2,000 square feet really feels like. So this is why like cleaning in the fridge for a short-term rental, this is, they would literally walk around the home that we had rented for the accelerator and just be like, everything started clicking, and it was such a phenomenal experience, even for me, of like, wow, it's like clicking, and they're excited about how everything is piecing together. And it made a ton of a difference because version 2 took us like probably a year and a half, and it was still breaking. Version 3, we had already got advice from Jared, who is on our board, that we need to change the tech stack. So changing the tech stack with the combination of having the experience of being here in the US and really seeing, the entire process of how things work and how fast-paced this place is and all of that stuff, and even talking to other people in the cohort, everything really clicked for them. That accelerated the rebuild of the platform. Version 2 took 1.5 years. Version 3 took 3 months. It was that fast. And we were very excited. Now that we're having all this attention from investors, stakeholders, PR, all of these things, everybody is giving us advice left to right. And as a founder who wants to stay open to being educated and learning, I was absorbing everything. So if investor says, what if you do that? You know what would be cool? You know what you could do? Da 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 da. And it's like you'd literally walk into one, sit with one investor, and they'll say, take direction A, and literally sit with another investor 30 minutes later, and they're saying direction B is the right way. And then the third investor says direction C. So I'm here kind of like panicking, like, oh my God, like how should I even go about this? Now I have learned, now as a seasoned founder, that the only advice that matters is from the paying customer. Not an advisor, not a mentor. You can take that in consideration in terms of like other stuff, fundraising, operations, right? Those things, they have expertise on. You have to listen to them. They have really good points. However, when it comes to the direction of the product, if it's not making the product better, it has to come from the customer. If you hear something from an investor, a stakeholder, advisor, you have to run it by your customer because they're the ones who are paying. They're the ones who are going to be like, Diana, I don't need that. I don't need you to add this feature. I don't need to add that feature. No, we don't need that, right? And of course, there's one part of you that would say, if, what is it? What's that quote from Ferrari? If people wanted faster horses, right? So there's that part of like, you want to really revolutionize an industry. And yes, you can, but it has to follow the theme that you're hearing. Is it faster horses or is it I need to move faster, right? So if it's following I need to move faster, you can change and evolve whatever the instrument is to move faster. So that's one thing that I have come to learn is don't take just everybody's advice. What happened of between version 3.1 and like 3.3 is that it started becoming a Frankenstein product. It got marketplace, it got this, it got that. It just looked like it was all over the place. The only thing that saved us is for version 3, the onboarding process took only 4 minutes, and the main thing was still the main thing, but we were adding all this other stuff that was just unnecessary. Now, version 4 is what really blew us away. I went through a really hard 2024, and also the end of 2023 was really hard for me mentally. I was in a place where, you're like, let me not say because I'm really talking about myself. I was like the golden child founder in the cohorts. And, with that, it can bring envy, it can bring bad energy. And it felt like one day people love me, the next day they're just trying to stomp on me. And it took a toll on my mental health. So I ended up kind of like slowing down the pace and trying to just focus on my mental health. Now, what happened during 2024 is that I got a call from one guy who I thought would be a customer, but he passed. He was like, we don't really need this right now, but it looks great, blah, 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 right? All of a sudden calls me frantically. He's like, Diana, I need cleaners right now. Here's the address of the property. Do you have anybody in your network? And I'm like, dude, this is what the product does, but let me find someone, right? And the whole process was outside of the product. And it made me question everything. But the question that he said that really did it for me was, do you have any good cleaners who can get there on time, and can we trust them? And that made the biggest aha moment, where I realized that we were solving the second biggest pain and not the first one. So the second biggest pain was finding cleaners, but the first biggest pain was, did they do a good job, and can I have proof? Can I trust that they did the good job? So that's how we said, okay, let's not try to create another platform where someone has multiple tabs on their computer, that now this is an extra tab they gotta go onto, and that's literally coming from the customer. Let's go where they already exist, and that was in the property management software that they're already using to manage those portfolio of houses that are on Airbnb and bookings.com and whatnot. So that's where the integration process started. We got so good with integration, we were holding hands of some of these mess companies while building it. The first PMS integration took 7 months. The second one took 3 months. The third one took 2 weeks. The fourth one took 3 days. We got really good at that. So we integrated with all the property management systems in the country. That was quite a time. And then we started saying, okay, it's not about scheduling. Yes, scheduling is the second, right? Like, if do I have cleaners? Yes. Okay, I gotta schedule. I gotta do the operations. I gotta schedule them. But like, did they do a good job? So that's how quality assurance AI verification came about. It was, how can we make sure that we provide proof? So it was beyond taking photos. There are tons of platforms where a cleaner can take photos and send them. I mean, you can take photos and send them through WhatsApp, right? I have property managers I know whose cleaners are in one group chat and they send tons of photos. They send 40 photos at a time. But by the time you go through all those photos, you probably have heard the problem already from the guest. So we were speeding that process of finding any problems and keeping the cleaning crew accountable. So now it's a totally different thing. It's not even about connecting you to cleaning services. That platform is still alive and well, and you can do that. You can go in there, book somebody, and they'll show up at that exact time. But the main product now is, how can we make sure that the manager, the client, can really rest their brain and not panic and say, what if they didn't do a good job? What if this? What if that? You have an AI that's going to ding you when something is wrong. And if there's nothing wrong, you don't have to worry that there's something wrong. So it's such a different product from what it was before. I got this all the time, when we went to panels and events, and the conversation was like, your startup is not going to look anything like it did before. And in my head, I was like, yeah, right. But it ended up happening to me. It's now a totally different product. The question is it still serving the values that I started with? Yes. Yes, it is. My whole thing was take care of the cleaners because they take care of us. And I think I'm still on that same value. You want to make sure that a cleaner in your team is doing a good job, gets the right training. You don't want a cleaner in your team to feel like they're always messing up. You don't want to feel like, you got to change the cleaner to somebody else and they just needed a little bit of training. You're also keeping them accountable, so there's no he said, she said. A guest can't say, oh, I found it that way, and now you're having a hard conversation with the cleaner, and they had nothing to do with it. Also, the back-end office for cleaning businesses that we have created connecting to the AI verification is also very helpful. So instead of having, an expensive subscription to manage your cleaning business, you can just use us for free and just bring all your clients and manage them on one platform. So yes, it has evolved, and I think we're still following our values from the get-go. It just looks so different, and being open to having it different is something, it's a change that a lot of founders, including myself, was not ready for. If you told me back in 2023 that I would be doing quality assurance AI, I'd be like, dude, that's next level, and I don't think I'm the person. But now that we have gone through the trenches, it's really surreal. So I'm looking forward to seeing, how this product continues to evolve and how it helps people. It's really, really interesting. Like, it's not even just like Airbnbs. I'm having people who work for enterprise companies. I mean, an enterprise company that like cleans banks and hospitals saying we need this. I'm having like licensing agreements and in conversation, like, can we plug this into our platform? So it's feeling like the Stripe for quality assurance in the hospitality, where it's not about payments, but it's about verification. And it's very interesting to see how this goes. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about how Clean has evolved and how far we've come. And they don't lie. Your first startup takes 10 years, your second startup takes 2. And I'm still going with this first one. Maybe I should have put it in a different startup name and said, hey, look, we did it in 2. But I like the name Clean, so I'm keeping it. Fight me. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.